Allie and Zara went skiing. Take a close look at both of them. Which girl is in danger? It's Zara. Look, there's an avalanche right behind her. Ryan and Jessica went ice skating. One of them is in danger. But who? Take a careful look at the pictures. It's Ryan. The ice where he stands is cracking. Two families, the Johnsons and the Smiths, went camping in the forest for a day to spend quality time together and build a snowman. Which family isn't being smart? Look, the Smiths stopped right under a dangerous tree. The branch can fall off. It's not the best spot. They should definitely move as soon as possible. Elizabeth and Kate are late for work, so they're driving above the speed limit. Which one of them puts herself and others in greater danger? Elizabeth. The road she's driving on is icy. Kate isn't being the most careful person as well, but at least the road she's driving is clean. Jane and Sadie were walking around town and found an appealing holiday tree with sweets on it. Of course, both decided to eat something off the tree. Which one of them isn't being smart? It's Jane. Look at the bird right next to the tree. It doesn't seem like whatever it ate was good. Even though Sadie does badly by eating sweets for decoration, at least it probably won't hurt her. Mrs. Bell has 3 daughters, Alyssa, Cassidy, and Poppy. She's about to have another girl. What do you think she'll name her? Stella, Wendy, or Haley? Mrs. Bell seems to choose names with double letters, so she'll probably name the girl Stella. Mrs. Jones is a math teacher who has 3 students she is teaching privately. One day, she walked into the classroom and saw that someone had broken a window. Of course, all of them denied doing it. Alice, Bea is lying. Bea, Cece is lying. Cece, both Alice and Bea are lying. Only one of the students is telling the truth. Who? If Alice is the one to tell the truth, then Bea is lying and Cece is telling the truth about Alice lying, which is a contradiction. If Cece is telling the truth, then Alice is lying about Bea lying. So Bea is telling the truth, which is another contradiction. If Bea is telling the truth, then Cece is lying about both girls lying, because Bea is telling the truth. There's no contradiction, so Bea is the only one telling the truth. Mrs. Rowan is an owner of a successful startup, and she's looking for an intern to do data analysis. She's looking through resumes and she needs to decide whom to invite to an interview. Take a look at the interviews one by one and try to figure out which ones aren't fake. Here's the first one. What do you think? Should Mrs. Rowan invite this candidate for an interview? No, I wouldn't invite this candidate. The work is in data analysis, but she has a master's in American literature. These subjects aren't related. Okay, here's the next candidate. What do you think? Should Mrs. Rowan speak with her? If what this woman is saying is true, then with her 8 years of experience, she is definitely overqualified for the job. I wouldn't invite her. Okay, here's the next candidate. Do you think this one is worth the shot? Will you recommend inviting her for an interview? She seems to be a great candidate. Green light. See you at the interview. What about this young man? Should Mrs. Rowan give him a chance? He seems fine to me. Let's see what he has to say during the interview. Okay, here's the last candidate for today. What do you think? Should we give her a chance? Well, she sounds reasonable. Let's give her a chance, and Mrs. Rowan will see how she does during the interview. So, all in all, we invited 3 candidates. Good job! Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. That's never happened before. Instead, she found a witch's house, walked in, petted a cat, and asked the witch to take her home. The witch was busy making a new potion and needed Esme's help. She had to add 7 ingredients, but she didn't remember the order. She remembered that herbs must be added third. 2 steps before herbs, she must add spiders. Mouse hairs should be added last. Spiderweb goes right before mouse hairs. Grated stone is right after herbs. The magic powder goes sometime before the flower petals. What's the correct order? We know that herbs go third. If spiders are 2 steps before then they're the first ones. Mouse hairs are last, and the spiderweb is 6th. Grated stone is after herbs, so it's the 4th step. Only steps 2 and 5 are missing now. So if magic powder goes before flower petals, then the magic powder is step 2, and flower petals are step 5. Now, I have a brain teaser for you. Listen carefully. I look at you, you look at me. I raise my right, you raise your left. What am I? Of course, it's your reflection in a mirror. Yesterday was Lily's birthday, and she turned 16. The next time it's her birthday, she'll turn 20. How is it possible? Lily was born on February 29th, which only happens once every 4 years. She'll get older, but her exact birthday will be only in 4 years when she turns 20. Okay, a bit of simple math now. In math class, 14 students are girls. 8 students have blonde hair. 2 of the students are either girls or they are blonde. If 5 students in the class are blonde girls, how many students are in the class? Okay, so if there are 5 blonde girls and 8 blonde people, it means that there are 3 blonde guys. Plus, possibly some more guys who aren't blonde. The riddle says that 2 people aren't girls and aren't blonde, so that's them. So, 14 girls plus 3 blonde guys plus 2 non-blonde guys make it 19 students in the math class. Luna wants to buy a new skateboard, and she'll need to save $120 for it. If she saves $10 a month, it'll take her 12 months to save $120, which is too long. If she saves $20 each month, it'll take her 6 months, but it's almost all her pocket money. If Luna saves $15 each month, how long will it take her to save $120? It'll take her 8 months. Maddie cycles as a hobby, and she's competing in a cross-country race. Just before the finish line, she overtakes the person cycling third. What place did Maddie finish in? She overtook the third racer. She became third herself. I have 2 siblings, Emma and Maya. When I was 17, Emma was twice as old as Maya. When Emma was 23, Maya was twice as old as me. So how old was I when Maya was 10 years old? "8 years old." A group of high school students is going on a trip by bus, and their teacher should arrange the seats. She has the remaining 5 students she should arrange in 5 seats next to each other. Here's what the teacher knows. Joe and Dan are best friends, so they will make a lot of noise if they sit next to each other. Evie and Liana argue a lot, so they can't sit together as well. Beth refuses to sit next to the boys and doesn't like to take aisle seats or window seats. How can the seats be arranged? Since Beth doesn't like aisle and window seats, she will have 2 neighbors, and both of them should be girls. We also can't leave 2 seats next to each other because Joe and Dan should be separated. So, Beth is sitting in the middle, Evie and Liana are on her left and right, and Joe and Dan are on the edges.
Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. what happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all. Bobby says, I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag. And Nina says, I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone? Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots one witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these two billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, this guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water. The waitress says, he looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass. The manager says, he called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation. And the cleaner says, I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection. Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are co-workers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes 2. Are they identical? There are 3 differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. 3 drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen. And the 3rd driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the 2nd car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out.
Veronica works in an aqua park. She turns on their shared laptop to write down some tasks. But unfortunately, her new coworker Frank had changed the password. Can you help Veronica figure out the new code without asking Frank? Look at this note next to the laptop. It's a hint. It says goldfish, elephant, shark, dolphin, and jellyfish. One word is different from all the others. The correct password is elephant. This is the only creature that doesn't live underwater. Veronica gets a message from Frank. He got lost in the territory of the aqua park. He sends Veronica his current location, and then his phone turns off. Veronica's watch gives her 3 routes leading to Frank, but her gadget doesn't work properly. Only one of these routes will actually take her to Frank. Can you help her find the correct way? Route B seems pretty twisted, but it's the only way. Veronica finds Frank in a storage room with swim rings and surfboards. There's something really odd about this place. Can you spot what exactly? There's a shark hiding among the surfboards. The chair lacks one leg. There's a starry night behind the right window and a sunny day behind the left window. Veronica wants to challenge Frank's intellect, so she asks him to decide which one of these 2 triangles is smaller. Can you help him? In fact, both triangles have identical sizes, but different colors create visual confusion. What about these 2 swim rings? Can you tell which shade is lighter? This one. And what can you say about these 2 flamingo rings? In fact, they're absolutely identical. Veronica goes to the central pool to check if everything's okay. Can you help her spot 3 weird things? There's a fried chicken swimming in the pool along with people. The pool lifeguard is turning into a werewolf. Take a closer look at her feet. And this swim ring is torn, but it doesn't deflate. Veronica arrives from work and approaches her apartment building. Suddenly, an old TV plummets on the car of her neighbor, Josh. Seems like someone did it on purpose. They call the police and a detective interrogates 3 people living in the building. Sally says, "I just came home. Why would I destroy Josh's car? He's my boyfriend." Tyler says, "The apartment I live in is not under Josh's car, and besides, my right hand is fractured. How could I pull this off?" And Josh says, "It's a new car. I bought it a week ago. But it's okay. I have insurance, so I'm not worried." The detective figures out who did it right away. What about you? If Tyler's hand is fractured, how is he using the same hand to eat lunch and drink coffee? The fork he was using and the mug are both kept on the right-hand side. Veronica lives alone. She spots something really creepy and yells. Why do you think she reacted this way? Take a look at the window. It's closed, yet the curtains are moving. Veronica goes to the kitchen and finds another mystery. Can you guess what's wrong here? The clock on the wall shows 6 p.m., and the electronic clock on the microwave says it's 9 a.m. Meanwhile, it's nighttime outside the window. She goes back to the bedroom and freaks out again. Someone had written these creepy letters on the wall. Can you figure out their meaning? To solve this riddle, we should replace every letter in this note with the one before it in the alphabet, and we'll get library. The next day, Veronica goes to the local library hoping to learn more about paranormal activity in her house. She spots one ghost among the visitors right away. Can you find it too? It's this lady over here. She's the only one who can't grab a material book. Veronica finds a secret hallway in the library and decides to check it out. And eventually, she gets lost. Now, Veronica needs to choose one of these 3 doors to escape. There are thousands of venomous scorpions behind the first door. The second path is all filled with the most dangerous magical potions. They are all fatal for any human when injected. And there's a tank with a family of crocodiles behind the third door. Which way should Veronica choose? The second door is the best choice. Nobody said that she has to inject those potions. Veronica asks Tom again on New Year's Eve, "Promote me or I quit." Tom replies, "I'll only promote you if you can solve my puzzle." Veronica agrees. "Cut this thread in half, but be careful. The ball must not drop, and you must not touch it." In a minute, Veronica got promoted because she accomplished Tom's task. How did she cut the thread in half? Veronica tied a knot in the middle first, and then she cut the thread in this manner. Veronica changes a 3-letter password on the office door. Now, she's the only person who knows the new code. She leaves this little clue for her colleagues. Can you figure out the password? The number of flowers shows which letter you should take away from the word flowers, so the new code is owl. Veronica receives a complaint from the aqua park guests. Someone covered swim rings with paint, and now everyone who uses them gets stained. Veronica interrogates 4 witnesses among the swimmers. All 4 claim they didn't do it, but Veronica knows for sure who pulled the prank. What about you? It's the third guy. All 4 witnesses are stained with paint, but this guy has dirty hands only, which means that he didn't ride the prank rings, unlike everyone else. The owner of the aquapark comes with a surprise visit. He decides to quiz the employees to see how well they know the history of the park. Veronica knows that the employees are not ready and secretly offers them a sly plan. When the owner asks his questions, all the employees raise their hands. Veronica picks up one person who gives the right answer. Finally, the meeting is over and the owner is very impressed. Everyone in the office raised their hand on each question even if they didn't know the answer. But still, the person Veronica picked replied correctly each time. How is that possible? Veronica had instructed her employees to raise their right hand if they knew the answer and raise their left hand if they didn't. All she had to do was to always pick the one with the right hand raised. Veronica downloads a dating app, hoping to meet someone special. Here are several pictures of cute guys, but one of them lives with his wife. Can you tell who? It's the second guy. There are 2 pairs of slippers on the floor behind him, and this pair is obviously too small for his feet. A heavy storm hit the city and all the electricity went out. It's completely blacked out. That's why Veronica gets stuck at work alone late at night. She has collected a suitcase with money to carry it to the bank tomorrow. After visiting the toilet, Veronica returns to the office to check the contents of the suitcase. But everything is stolen. Early in the morning, the police interrogate 3 people who knew about the cash. Frank says,
"There was no electricity yesterday, so I went to bed. You can check my house's CCTV records. I spent the entire time sleeping.
Tom says, I have a dog. She was terrified because it was too dark. I was singing songs to keep her distracted. And Nina says, I lit a candle to read a book and fell asleep in a chair right away. In 4 hours, your call woke me up. Who is lying? In fact, 2 people are lying here. Frank knew that nothing could have been recorded on the CCTV as there was no electricity. And if Nina really was sleeping, the candle should have burnt out in 4 hours. Helen and Dylan go to the movies. Can you spot anything odd in this place? There's a spider hiding in this guy's popcorn. This lady has a working camera, which is not allowed in the movies. The seats are numbered in a random order in this row, and there's a monster hiding behind the seats. Can you spot a criminal among these 2 truck drivers? The second guy is just shipping tomatoes, but someone scrawled the word help on the window of the first truck. Therefore, the first driver is the criminal. Can you guess which driver is more dangerous? The second one. Who uses such weird decor for his car? Breaking news! Someone stole exclusive diamond shoes from the local museum. Many people visited the exhibition that day, but the criminal had left no clue. The police arrive at the crime scene. Detective Smith checks the camera records and spots the thief right away. What about you? Something about this lady is very suspicious. Her height increases in the second footage. This probably means that she's wearing the stolen diamond shoes. Kelly throws a pajama party, but one of her guests is a criminal. Can you guess who? This lady is a thief. She hid the stolen items inside a pillow. Let's check how eagle-eyed you are. Can you spot 3 differences between these 2 pictures? Here they are. Yes! What about these pictures? Are they identical? Nope, there are 3 differences. Can you see 3 differences here? Here they are. Great job! Yes! Philip runs a publishing house. One day, he gets an anonymous message. His best illustrator, Victor, has a secret relationship with one of his female co-workers. Only 4 ladies work in Philip's farm. Sheila is an SMM manager. She has just returned from the Maldives. It was her honeymoon. Bella is a content manager. She's very shy and lives with 5 dogs. Lily is a part-time writer. She's single and parties all the time. And Kelly is an office manager. She's very ambitious and writes her own book in her spare time. Can you guess Victor's secret crush? Bella! Philip has white dog hair on his jacket, just like Bella. Crystal is a doctor. She arrives at a medical conference and takes several pictures with her colleagues before the event. In an hour, the local janitor finds Crystal unconscious in the storage room. Later, Crystal gets better and tells the police, I was walking to the toilet. The last thing I remember was someone pushing me from behind. I don't know who did it. Police questioned all the doctors. Everyone claims that they were listening to the report when the attack took place. Officers examine the pictures before the conference and immediately identify the criminal. What about you? Crystal tried to protect herself and tore the string on the criminal's neck.
Oh my god.
So it was this guy with a broken badge. Harold is the richest man in town. This evening, he lost his memory because of a car accident. His only family is his daughter. When Harold wakes up in a hospital, two ladies claim to be his daughters. One of them is lying. Can you help Harold identify the real one? There's a photo frame near Harold's bed with a picture of him with his daughter. She has a mole on her cheek, and this lady too. So she's the real daughter. Peter gets lost in a haunted house and finds 3 doors. He needs to choose one of them to escape. There's a cute family of polar bears behind the first door. A couple of hungry, angry wolves are waiting behind the second door, and they haven't been eating for 7 years. And there are hundreds of venomous snakes behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? The second one. Wolves can't survive without food for so long, so they're not a threat anymore. Mary is heading back home from work through a forest road. Somewhere along the way, she gets lost. She comes across 3 caves. Mary needs to choose one of them to go ahead. There are venomous scorpions inside the first cave. They can't wait to bite Mary. Inside the second cave, there's a tiger that will eat her alive. And inside the third cave, there are man-eating bats. Which cave is more or less safe? If you noticed, the sun is still up. It's daytime and bats are sleeping, so the third cave is the safest option for Mary. Detective Smith gets a task to investigate a robbery. He questions a witness who saw the thief escaping. He says, "In my car's mirror, I saw a masked man driving away in panic, but I wrote down the number of his car." Detective Smith takes the note with the number. Police find 4 cars with similar number plates. Detective Smith carefully examines all 4 cars and figures out which one of them belongs to the robber. How? Since the witness looked at the car number through his mirror, the image was reflected. It means that this was the original car number. Amy lives with her 3 sisters. She's a professional violinist. Her sister always complains that she loves music more than her own family. One day, Amy leaves for the gym, and when she returns home in the evening, she discovers that all her super expensive violins are broken.
Oh god.
She immediately calls the police. Detective Smith arrives and interrogates everyone. Amy's elder sister, Sarah, says, "I was sleeping the whole time. I don't know anything." Detective Smith asks her what the other sisters were doing at the time. They were both reading books and eating dinner in the living room. Only the younger sister was having fun at a party downtown. Detective Smith immediately realizes who broke the violins. What about you? If Sarah was sleeping, how did she know who was doing what? This implies that she's hiding something. A woman in tears enters Detective Smith's office and asks for his help. She explains, "I was walking down the road when a man approached me from behind, snatched my phone from my hand, and ran away." But Detective Smith suspects 3 people and invites all of them, but everyone says that they didn't steal the lady's phone. Detective Smith checks their phones and immediately understands who did it. Can you guess who snatched the phone? Take a look at the wallpapers. This is the lady's dog, so the first guy stole her phone.
Oh no.
After a particularly large snowfall, Chuck walks outdoors. He discovers a weird thing. He has half as much snow in his yard as his neighbors, but it seems like Chuck is not surprised at all. Can you guess why? Simple. Chuck's yard is half the size of his neighbor's. Vicky is filming a video blog about this haunted house. Suddenly, she freaks out because this place is full of frogs. How many frogs can you see in this picture? The correct answer is 11. Vicky runs away to the basement and sees a creepy collection of clown masks. How many masks can you spot? This one is not a mask, it's a portrait. Philip is walking down the street. Suddenly, a woman approaches him from behind and sneaks his wallet. She runs away and hides in one of the houses. Philip follows her. The owner of the house is inside. Philip asks him,
Has anyone visited you today?
The owner replies,
Nope, neither have I left the house. I live here alone and work from home.
After hearing the owner's words, Philip knows for sure that this guy is a liar. How come? There are 3 cups of hot tea at the table and female sandals standing near the door. So he's probably an accomplice of the thief. In a city's museum, an expensive golden egg covered in diamonds went missing. The museum workers noticed it in the morning and, of course, they immediately reported the theft to the police. The city's best detective started investigating the case. She carefully looked through the footage and identified 3 main suspects. Then she saw a handprint on the glass the egg was placed behind. Take a look at these handprints and at the suspect's hands. Who is guilty? It's this person right here. Look, the prints of the fingers aren't full because something came in the way. This person is wearing rings right there, so it's their print. In a little town, someone stole an expensive silver collar for a cat, covered in diamonds and precious gems. The shop's owner called the police, and the investigation started. There were 3 suspects. Mr. Johnson said,
I came to look for earrings for my daughter's birthday. We don't have any pets.
Mrs. Martin said, I got a bracelet for myself. I didn't steal anything. Mrs. Tanner said, I have no idea what you're talking about. The thief is Mr. Johnson. There are cat footprints in his garden, so the family obviously has a pet. There was a robber in the city, and no one could catch him for several months. After another incident, the police saw the robber entering a hospital. They walked in and ran into 2 doctors. Which one of them is fake and is actually the robber? It's this guy, the one who's wearing headphones instead of the stethoscope. Mrs. Stevens went on a 3-month vacation, but had her workers coming regularly to maintain the house. When she returned, she realized that one of the workers was skipping quite a bit of work once in a while, going on an unplanned vacation themselves. Who was it? A gardener who takes care of the outside garden, a housekeeper who takes care of everything in the house, or a painter who is coming to paint her house. It's the housekeeper. Look, the houseplants dried out. Seems like he skipped a couple of weeks of work and probably only cleaned the house right before Mrs. Stevens returned. Do you think you can figure out who the bride of this man is? It's this woman right here. Look, she has the same tattoo as this guy. A small city's police got a message that monsters silently flooded the town and now live among humans. It's not a problem, but the police decided to identify them all to keep an eye on them. Can you help the police identify in which houses the monsters live? Here's the first task. You see two houses and a vampire lives in one of them. Which one? It must be this house, the dark one where the blinds are closed on all the windows. Vampires don't like sunlight. Okay, the next task is to find the house of a mummy. Here are two possible options. Which house does the mummy live in? This one. Look, there are bandages around the house. The next creature whose residence we need to identify is a gnome. Take a look inside two houses. Can you tell where the gnome lives? Probably in this house. All furniture is smaller and placed way lower than in the other house, so it must be the residence of someone small, like a gnome. Now, we need to find the house of a centaur. Take a close look at both houses. Can you identify the one? This one right here. See, there are horse prints on the pathways to the house. The last one. A real witch lives in one of these houses. Can you tell where you're most likely to be bewitched? Did you notice this cute black cat? That's a famous witch sidekick, so my bet is on this house. On a cold January night, Delaney was found unconscious in the cloakroom when her best friend Jane came looking for her. She was at a house party with a bunch of college students. The police interrogated several students, asking where they were around the time of the accident. Allison said, "I was upstairs all the time, dancing with my friends." Liam said, "I went to a kiosk to pick up some candy for my girlfriend. There were only drinks and chips." Oliver said,
I was talking to a girl. She seems to like me.
Who should have been taken to the police station? Liam. It's a cold night, and he would need a jacket to go to a kiosk. And if he needed a jacket, he would go into the cloakroom to get it, and would have found Delaney instead of Jane. So either he lied or walked past an unconscious girl. Ronan Collins, a successful businessman, went missing. His family reported it to the police. The main suspect was Ronan's business partner, Jennifer. She had been out of the city, but as soon as she returned, the police knocked on her door and asked if she knew something about Ronan's disappearance 2 weeks prior. "I just returned from my month-long trip to the Amazon rainforest an hour ago. I haven't heard anything about it." The detective didn't believe her right away and took her to the station for further investigation. Why? From the photos, we can clearly see that Jennifer dyes her hair. She says that she just returned from her trip, which was a whole month long. But her hair is perfectly dyed. Some roots would grow out, so she's lying at least about something. Esme was having a walk in a forest and got lost. But she found the house of a witch, walked in, petted her black cat, and asked the witch to take her home. The witch was busy operating on a frog, a rat, and a crow. She was using magical healing gloves, but she only had 2 pairs, so she needed Esme's help to figure it out, and then she'd take her home. How can she operate on all 3 animals with the 2 pairs of magical gloves, but remain sanitary? The witch should operate on the frog wearing the first pair of gloves over the second one. Then, she should operate on the rat using just the second pair. Finally, she should operate on the crow wearing the first gloves inside out, worn over the second glove. Detective Callum had to travel to a small neighboring city where dogs were being kidnapped every night right out of the house. There were already 4 of them missing, and all of them were living on the same street. Mila was kidnapped first, then Karma the next night. After that, it was Jake, and then Mr. Sniffer. There were just 3 dogs left that lived on the street. Can you figure out which dog is going to be the next target? Look carefully at the dogs that were kidnapped, or actually at their collars. The first dog that was kidnapped has a red collar. Karma has an orange collar. Then Jake was wearing a yellow one, and Mr. Sniffers owned a green one. Seems like they're being kidnapped in order of rainbow colors. So, the next target should be this dog, the one wearing the blue collar. Mason called the police, reporting that his metal safe box with his savings was stolen. He walked into his bedroom right in time to spot the robber throwing the safe out of the window and disappearing in the window right after. So, Mason wanted the robber caught, or his insurance to pay him the money he had lost. The detective came to investigate. "Did you touch anything in the room after the incident?" he asked. "No, I came straight to you." "Then there was no robber," the detective concluded. "Why?" The robber couldn't go out of the window without stepping on the bed that was standing right by the window, but the bed is perfectly made. How is it possible if Mason didn't touch it?
If you had problems with math in school, maybe they weren't teaching you the right way. Today, I'll teach you some basic math visually, and Latin letters and numbers will finally make sense to you. I promise. Let's start with this one. Do you remember this basic equation? A plus b squared? It's equal to a squared plus 2 times a multiplied by b plus b squared. We learned it as a rule and accepted that it's true, but now I'll make you see that it's indeed correct. Let's have a square with a side a plus b. That's the left part of the formula, right? One side is a plus b, and the other side is a plus b. So, the space of the square is a plus b squared. Now let's break the square into 4 pieces like this. There's a square with a side of a in the space of a squared, and another one with a side of b in the space of b squared. In addition, 2 rectangles are formed with a side a and a side b. So, their space is a by b. This is exactly the right side of the formula. So, now you can see that these spaces are exactly equal. Now let's have a visualization of a similar formula, but with a minus. A minus b squared is equal to a squared minus 2 by a by b plus b squared. We'll start with a square with a side a, so the area of the square is, without a doubt, a squared. Then, since we have the subtraction on the left side of the formula, we need to make the side smaller by b. So, we divide it like this, with this side being equal to b. Now, this square right here has a side of a minus b, and its area is a minus b squared, which is the left side of the equation here. Now we need to track how we get it. We start with the big A squared square. Then we subtract this rectangle whose area is equal to a times b. We still don't have the square we need, so we need to subtract the area of the other a times b rectangle here. But it's now missing a piece. So, before we can do that, we need to add the b squared. Yes, and now we subtract another AB rectangle. So, as you see, now we got the area of a minus b squared, just like the formula tells us. One of the most famous theorems of geometry is the theorem of Pythagoras, which states that for a right triangle, the square of one side plus the square of the other side is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, let's prove that it's right for any right triangle. But, of course, we're going to do it visually. So, here's our right triangle. Let's denote its sides as A, B, and C. Now, let's duplicate the triangle and make 3 more that are exactly like the original one. I'll arrange them this way. They're now forming 2 additional shapes, this one around and this one in the middle. You guessed it right, both of these are squares. But how do we know that? Let's start with the big one. First, it has 4 right angles, which makes it some kind of a rectangle. To be a square, all 4 sides must be equal. And, indeed, they are. Look, this is the side A of a triangle, and right next to it, there's another triangle with the side equal to B. So, the side of this big figure is A plus B, right? Now, this is another A, and this is another B. So, this side is A plus B too. Off to the third side. Since it's the exact same triangle, then this is A. The fourth triangle is the same too. And this part is equal to B. The fourth side is equal to A plus B as well. Now, we established that the big figure is a square with a side of A plus B. So, the area inside it is A plus B squared. But what about the other shape, the one that's inside? As you remember, this one is C from the original triangle, but the other triangles are the same. So all 4 sides of the shape are equal to C. So it's another square with an area of, you guessed it, C squared. Okay, we remember it. In fact, let's make a duplicate of that square and put it aside for a little bit. Now let's rearrange the triangle like this. You see, now there are 3 squares formed. There's this one. This side is B, and this side is B too. So it's a square with an area of B squared. And there's another one. This is side A, and this is side A. So it's a square with an area A squared. Now all together, they form a bigger shape. Once again, it's a square. And one, we already know, a square with a side of A plus B in the area of A plus B squared. Okay, so do you see where I'm driving at? We had this A plus B squared square that was filled with 4 triangles and 1 C squared square. Now, I have the same A plus B squared square with the same 4 triangles, but 2 smaller squares, A squared and B squared. So, it seems like C squared is the same area as A squared plus B squared, and this is exactly our proof. This is just one of over 300 proofs this theorem has so far. Maybe you can come up with some other one. Now, we all know the formula for the area of a circle. It's the squared radius multiplied by the mysterious number pi. Now, it's time to show you the visual proof of it. Let's draw a circle, and we want to figure out what its area is. We divide it into several equal parts, let's say into 8 parts, for starters. We can arrange these 8 parts into a rectangle-like shape. Still, this doesn't help us much to figure out the area. Let's divide it into 16 pieces then. And once again, rearrange them trying to form a rectangle. Now, it's already closer, but still not enough. We make more pieces, and they turn smaller. It's 24 now, and the rectangle is more distinctive now. Do you see what I'm getting at? The more pieces we divide the circle into, and the smaller they are, the closer they are to being a perfect rectangle when we rearrange them. The smaller the pieces, the closer it gets. Look at this one now. Divide, rearrange. Looks good enough, huh? So now we need to find the area of the rectangle, and it'll be the area of the circle too. This smaller side right here, the height, is the size of the radius. The other side, or the base, is equal to half of the circumference of the circle. And the circumference is 2 pi r, so the base is just pi r. So now we see that the area of the rectangle and the area of the circle is r times pi r, or pi r squared too. Now let me clarify just one thing, the length of the circumference and how pi comes into play. Let's have 3 circles with the diameters of 1, 2, and 3. Well, the radius of each will be half the diameter, of course. Here we take the first circle. The radius is 0.5, and the diameter is 1. If we roll it on the ruler, the length is approximately 3.14. Now let's take the next circle. The diameter is 2, the radius is 1, we roll it, and the length is approximately 6.28, which is 3.14 multiplied by 2. The last circle, with the diameter of 3 and the radius of 1.5. You know the drill, we roll it and measure. The length is now approximately 9.42, or 3.14 multiplied by 3. This mysterious number got called pi. In fancy words, it's the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter, and as you've seen, it's always the same. So that's it for today, and I hope I made math a bit more understandable for you.